welcome to Fraser Mountain High School and this professional development presentation on increasing social and emotional learning in the classroom. My name is Carolyn Chapman and I'm an English teacher here at Fraser Mountain High School, and I've done quite a bit of research on the method that I'm going to introduce to you tonight. However, I have not yet used it in my classroom, but I do plan to do so in the upcoming school year. So to get started, I'll go ahead and give you the outline for tonight's presentation. You'll notice on the outline that it does have the 5 aspects of social and emotional learning. So if you could kind of refer back to that as we go through the presentation tonight, see if you agree with me that the Harkness discussion method aligns with and supports all of the aspects of social and emotional learning. As you can see up here again, social and emotional learning is self-management, self-awareness, responsible decision-making, relationship skills, and social awareness. The Harkness discussion method is a form of student-centered collaborative learning that fosters student engagement and will positively impact all aspects of social and emotional learning. A little bit of background on the Harkness discussion method. It was developed at Phillips Exeter Academy in the 1930s and named after philanthropist Edward Harkness. It features student-centered, discussion-based teaching. Ideally, students and teachers sit at a large oval table designated to facilitate these types of conversations. It was based on the belief that learning is deeper and richer if done collaboratively. It is also a way of interacting with others, listening carefully, speaking respectfully, questioning ideas, and using new knowledge. So next I'm just going to show you a video that can explain it, give you a little bit more background far better than I can.
Rocky Hill utilizes the Harkness table, which is a large oval table around which I'm sitting right now. And it's a different methodology of interaction of kids in the classroom. And my kids have benefited from it because there's nowhere to hide in a classroom like this. They start thinking of their peers as collaborators in a learning process, as opposed to just kids, sitting in a linear way, really being part of the group that's responsible for learning.
Creating that climate where everyone is comfortable around this table results in learning far beyond sort of a more traditional presentation.
I felt that Harkness definitely prepared me to ask those prying questions that move a discussion forward or a lecture forward, and sort of turn it in a way that it might not have been going before, but it allows it to open up in a new direction. And without that background in being able to speak my mind and being able to really feel comfortable asking questions, that's something that Harkness certainly gave me.
Often what the kids discover is when they really listen to what each other is saying and not just sort of like popcorn, I say one thing, you say one thing, you say another, that when they take the time to pause and reflect and listen to what their classmate is saying, that insight is often more powerful than any lecture that I could ever present to the students.
The Harkness model, it trains you over time to become a better speaker and to become more articulate and speak smoothly in front of a large audience. You can't just speak and say fluff, I would say, and you can't just waffle around a Harkness discussion, and anyone can do it. But definitely you have to be prepared, I would say, and for different subjects you have to do your research beforehand, the night before, and maybe have a preliminary discussion with your peers to discuss what you want to say during Harkness discussion to make sure your discussion is as effective as possible.
Just being comfortable asserting your perspective and then listening to a counterpoint, an argument against that, and being able to stand firm or to concede that you could have presented your perspective more clearly. And I think it's that self-awareness that can translate across not just all disciplines, but beyond the school classrooms.
All right, I really like that video. It really does hit a lot of the social and emotional aspects. Okay, so how do we make this happen? How do we get these students to work together so that they can gain a deeper understanding of whatever it is that they're studying? To help us with that, I'm going to go ahead and give you the handout for the Harkness discussion guidelines. can see, one of the most important things about the discussion is that everyone is expected to contribute. Also, students participate as a team. This is not a competition. In that vein, there is a team grade that is given. The whole class will get the same grade with 2 exceptions. 1, students who do not participate at all will be marked down. 2, students who go above and beyond for the benefit of the group will get marked up. And this is for the benefit of the group, not for self-benefit, but if they've done something to really benefit the entire group, their grade would go up. So if we could just take a look at the guidelines really quickly, everyone expected to contribute. How? Commenting, giving an opinion, asking for clarification, asking for new information, all great examples. Again, this is not a competition. And on the bottom of the handout here, there are some suggestions for how a teacher would grade an A, how a teacher would assign an A, B, C, or D grade to the discussion. Another thing that's very important is that the expectations are clearly spelled out ahead of time before you even begin to try to have one of these types of discussions. You really need to explain to your students what's expected of them. So this is a good handout to spell that out for us. And if you could take a look at that, we can see that at the very top, listen carefully. Another one, don't address everything to the instructor. In fact, some instructors say that they don't want the students to make any eye contact with them at all. The idea is that they are making eye contact with the other students and addressing all of their comments and knowledge and working together with each other just to the students. You want to stick close, students should stick close to the text in discussion. They need to keep their textbook open, have it with them. Be able to cite specifics, whatever it is, not maybe a textbook, novel, whatever it is that you're working on. Again, collaborating, not competing. And another interesting thing is that the students don't raise hands. They intend to take spontaneous turns speaking. They affirm comments made by other students. Challenge politely if they disagree. Be sure the class is content with the exploration of one topic before heading off into new territory, and that the students are responsible for the discussion. If they participate too much, they need to know that they need to police themselves on that too. One thing that comes to mind is the shy student. We don't want to alienate the shy student and try to force them into engaging in discussion that they're not ready for. However, if a couple of discussions have gone by and you've got a student that just won't participate, that would be the time to take that student aside and really have a conversation with that student and explain to them they're in a safe space and they've got to really come out of their shell and become part of the discussion. The teacher acts mostly as an observer. So let's just imagine ourselves at the Harkness discussion table. We're at a large oval table. We've got all of our students sitting around the table. The teacher will be sitting at the table as well. So what are we doing? If we're just acting as an observer, we're not just sitting there. What we're doing is possibly taking notes on the dynamics of the discussion. We do have the option, of course, to pause the discussion at certain intervals. If the discussion is going way off track, we might want to bring it back to the group as a whole and do a self-assessment. Decide how we are doing. How are we doing? What do we need to do differently? Another option could be that the teacher could assign a student facilitator to track the group discussion using her chosen tracking method. And the next video I'm going to show you is an example of that.
One is actually a group interaction strategy for me to kind of track your discussion within your group. Okay, I'm going to give each group one of these sheets. The group is going to have a facilitator. Now, the facilitator has to participate in the conversation, but the facilitator has the extra job of tracking everybody else. So what you're going to do when you get this piece of paper, the facilitator is going to write names in the in the circles for each person. Okay? When the conversation gets started, the facilitator is going to start wherever that person's circle is. It's going to start there. The next person that says something in response to the conversation or participates in the conversation, draw a line to wherever that person is, no matter where it is. All right? Then the next person that contributes to the conversation, draw a line to that person. And then the next person, even if it goes back to the first person or the line goes back. Okay? You're going to connect, you're going to draw lines to kind of connect the interaction of the conversation. Okay? Does everybody kind of understand that? All right. Can the lines go back to a person? Okay, go back and forth. Yes. Within the class, what do we want our group interaction to look like? Okay, a bunch of lines back and forth. We want everybody to contribute, don't we? All right. So, can I look at this, or can you look at this at the end of the class and evaluate how well you contribute to the group? Mm-hmm. Yes, you can, and we will do that. You're going to actually look and reflect on this at the end of class and decide if you need to kind of step it up in your group. If you need to interact with your group anymore. If you need to add to the discussion more. Could it also tell us if one person dominates the group a little bit too much? Yes, it can. And we need a balance, don't we? Yes, we do. We want to look for a balance. All right. So for right now, I want you to decide who is going to be the most responsible person in each group to be the facilitator. Whoa. What are you doing? Our secondary right here.
I'm not listening. What you saying? I know, but primary was your first one.
Sorry, I was reading S-Waves.
God. Thank God I asked.
Secondary way is one hard.
Secondary was second.
Alright, now next, I got the divergent.
That's why it's our secondary waves.
I meant surface one. Come on,
The surface ones were
get
nice.
it together a little bit. Alright, divergent. We already have this, but
This is whenever divergent points move away from each other and create new cross.
Look at your interaction graph, and as a group I want you to discuss how the interaction graph went. Were there, did everybody get equally interacted? Were there some that dominated more? Were there some that did not participate as much? And I want you to write your group reflection on the back of the paper. Write your reflection on the back of the paper.
Okay, I really like that video because I think it's a pretty good representation of what typically happens in a lot of American public school classrooms. We noticed that the kids were sitting in small groups, so she was doing a modified Harkness discussion, but she did have the tracking sheet with the student facilitators tracking the discussions, which was great. We also noticed that a couple of the kids, even in the small group, weren't really participating that much, so that's something that she would have to talk to with them as a group, or maybe they interacted with each other. Another interesting thing I noticed was that there was a little bit of conflict at the beginning, but then they started working out whatever the problem was that they needed to be working on. So, all good things. If you don't want to have a student facilitator track the discussion, a really great tool that the teacher can use is the student discussion assessment tool, also known as the Harkness table notes. So this would be a classic representation of the Harkness table notes. And you can see that this would represent the table, and this is something that the teacher would complete. So the teacher would put the names of the students all around the table, and up here you've got your key